Welcome to the Fierce Goddess Collective. From our hearts to yours, we share the gifts of beautiful goddesses to the world. Beautiful, beautiful. Welcome everybody to another wonderful episode of the Fierce Goddess Collective. And our beautiful podcast guest today is the beautiful Karen, all the way from WA. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
And of course, my beautiful co-host, Tosca, the Joyful Goddess. So just to start with, I'm going to do a little bit of an intro of what beautiful work Karen does. So here we go. Karen lives in the beautiful southwest of Western Australia with her beloved husband, two incredible children and fur babies. She thoroughly enjoys connection in all its heavenly form. Karen's work in the world is supporting the release of trauma held in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual body. Qualified as an intuitive intelligence trainer, advanced embodiment practitioner, spiritual companioning, and EFT, which is emotional freedom tapping, practitioner. Her processes involve raising consciousness to disrupt past patterns so cycles aren't repeated and new ways can be established. It is a passion of hers and a vision she holds close to her heart in providing a safe, compassionate space for clients to explore their truth and restore faith within themselves. From here, it is possible to become empowered in creating a desired life and allow the soul to be the journey's guide. Beautiful. Welcome, you glorious thing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so good to be here. Thank you. Beautiful ladies, goddesses yourself, right?
Well, gorgeous goddess, how would you describe yourself and what do you do in everyday life?
I've got a few different hats I wear, but to describe myself, I am strong, I am wise, I am open. I also tend to go really deep. I love the nitty-gritty and that curiosity in life. And yeah, it's been sparked a lot, and I love to have a understanding, to understand how people process, but even myself, and to understand what something means to them, just because I'm interpreting it somewhat differently. So yes, I try to be as deep as I can with myself and others and hold that space just in general without always going cuckoo me. Sometimes it's not always welcome. So it's reading those signs, right? It's reading those signs. Yeah, it's just being as me as much as possible. But in everyday life, again, like I said, I've got two beautiful children. We've got a fabrication business, so I work within that. And so, yeah, everything's energy. So it's beautiful being able to see energy flow in different ways and see how the different forms and creativity it can take on board. And yeah, I just live in a beautiful country town, like on the outskirts, and I love where we live. It's very different where we live to most people. We live in an actual industrial area. So yeah, it surprises a few people when they find out, but the serenity and the quietness that is here, because of course during the day it's a bit busy, but at night and weekends there's nothing. And it's like we've got this entire farm, factory land, and it's right on rivers, and farming is within a stone throw away. So it's really unique, and it's exactly perfect for us. But yeah, I love it. Yeah,
that's beautiful. What a great place to live.
Wow.
Yeah. Okie dokie. So in what you do, so much that you do for the world, how do you do it in a way that supports women in particular?
I have a passion for working with people that hold others, and that's as it's in whether they're practitioners or not. But where I see, especially where I work with the women, because I do work with men as well, but I predominantly work with women. It's for them to understand their connective strategies for themselves, to how to work with their own trauma. And trauma shows up in so many different ways and has so many different forms. So then they understand how they can support themselves more fully to be able to support others. So that's where really my passion lays. So it's working through anything that they're holding on to so they can be showing up in their fuller self because they're in a capacity to hold others. So yeah, it's working with the
Wow.
nervous system and really just giving that space for them to be in a space where they can be held with being 100% fully accepted for who they are. It's a non-judgmental space. So
Yeah.
whatever happens goes. I am purely there for them and no other ulterior motive behind it. It's like, how can I serve you? So then how I'm serving you, you can serve others, right? And it may just be as simple, well, not as simple, I shouldn't say that, but they serve people in so many different ways. It could be the capacity as an actual practitioner within their business that helps others. I have some clients that are community members, so they want to make sure that they are providing their best volunteer services that they can. So it works in so many different ways, and just giving them a space where they can be themselves, belong, and it gives them a moment of peace. They find a sense of peace.
Yeah, space for themselves is just so important for women, isn't it?
Amazing. Yeah, and it's something that very easily gets overlooked. We hold, especially as women, we hold so much space for everything that's going on around us. We're like the juggling in the circus, you know. So it's like, how do we have that space just to let all the balls down and just be, and knowing that nothing's actually getting dropped, right? It's just that this is exactly what's needed for my own self-care, my own ability to be able to be a better version of myself, or the best version I can at that one particular moment in time. Yeah. And that's all it is. It's just one moment at a time, you know, and bringing that sense of presence and compassion back for themselves. Yeah.
Amazing. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. It is beautiful. And that love of compassion for self, you know, that is just so potent and so powerful. And I think in busy worlds and in, you know, our lives and families and mothers and workers, it's so easy to forget that one.
Oh, so easy, without all the fears of it being selfish and guilt and shame and everything else that comes along with it, right? So it's like, let's just unpack that at the door and then come in to actually experience what that may actually feel like. And yeah.
Beautiful. And talking about experiencing, what is something that you love to do or that brings you a great sense of joy?
Mine's I love putting my feet in water and squishing my toes between sand or mud.
Beautiful.
I love my feet I love my feet on the earth, and it brings me great joy, and I enjoy the way in which I walk with it, and I really bring it into a full experience. And it's something so simple that it's something I can achieve all the time without having to make sure that I make a lot of time available to it or schedule it in. Like it's there, and it's the way that I walk, and it's like, how can I dance with the land at the moment, you know? How can I connect in with Mother Nature? And I just love my feet firmly planted on the ground, and just allowing, I love different surfaces and allowing them to mold to my feet, and just feeling the different pressures and textures. So that brings me a lot of joy. And it's I was going to say at the beginning, it's really simple, but it's something we forget. And especially with our feet, we do things with our hands and our eyes and all our different senses. It's like, but our feet are one of the most important things that we can carry us through. It's like, but how can we bring more awareness to how we're connecting with the ground, right? So
and the pleasure of that, the joyful pleasure.
I'm getting like it's pleasure even describing it to you, but I can feel my hands like waving around. But it's something that I just love to do. And and I love just the dirt and the element, and being aware of, I suppose, the reason why I like the water as well. It's got its different temperatures involved, and it's got its own flow, and it's just such an incredible energy force on its own. So
that's wonderful. That just took me back to when I was at the beach and I was actually squishing my toes. you don't realize that it's just such a special thing that you can do for yourself. It's amazing to reconnect as well. It's just awesome. So do you think that would be one of your self-love practices, or is there something else, your self-care and self-love, that you would do for yourself?
Yeah, that is one of my self-care. The other one is really important for me is recognizing when I need rest and I take it. Yeah. And so I rest during the day most days, because I want to be at my best also for school pickup and other activities we've got going on, and our businesses. But yeah, rest is really important. And I mean, I love any connection with nature, but I love when I have that silence, that solitude, and that stillness. And for me, I actually love laying on a Shakti mat, which is like an acupressure mat. And that is a self-care tool for me, where I lay on it most days. And around about that 2 o'clock, you've got yours there, don't you?
Yeah.
Is it under your feet at the moment? It's under your feet, right? Yes.
They're fantastic.
And I love it because it really helps regulate my nervous system for starters, but it really brings me back into myself. And within about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes for me, I can feel my entire body just relax in a way that it would, in just such a beautiful form. It is a melting into it. So yes. So no, I do love that stillness and honoring that. I learned that quite a few years ago. I'd be going flat knacker all day and just not allowing myself any time of a break before I started the next thing. So it's honoring that. And I do it in small ways throughout my day for self-care, to go, okay, let's just reflect for a moment. I've finished that, and I've finished it in full. Like, is it anything, and just sit with it for a moment. Is it anything I've forgotten before I move on to my next task, to honor what I've actually done? So, but I do love those little bit of an extra breaks to really be with myself and just relax. And whether it's music, or I can hear the crackling of the fire if it's in winter, and in sun, I usually do it outside. I'll lay on the lawn outside, for instance, and just enjoy that sun on my skin, even if it's only for 5 to 10 minutes. But it's it's really important for me to have those points where I can go, let's just be still, let's be where we are in the moment. But not just that, what is the experience of what I would like to feel when I'm doing that? Hence why I bring in those other sensory needs, and all of them have a feeling of warmth and supportiveness, and something that makes me feel nurtured. So
I think that's one of the things that we want to get across to our fierce goddesses that follow us and are hopefully watching this, is that they forget to take that time. If it is 5 to 10 minutes, it's so important. And it's put beautifully. That's just given so many ideas to me just in itself. And
I have an incredible drive to school where I pick up my daughter, and it's country drive, and I love cattle. Oh my gosh, I love cattle. And so, like, looking at all the little calves jumping around, but just seeing the greenery, and really just I do enjoy a lot of silence. I don't always have music because I enjoy just humming or making my own music. But and that is a practice in itself, to go, I don't need to fill the space with anything. I'm just going to enjoy the space that I'm in. So
beautiful. And I can just, hearing you talk, Karen, there's so much intentionality in that. You bring that presence, you honor yourself, your space, and what you need. It's not like, let me fit in this 5 minutes, it's like, no, let me go outside and enjoy the sunshine. Let me look at those beautiful cows. Let me take a breath,
And thank you for that reflection and that honor, because I'm making a choice to be intentional and to be present to what I'm experiencing. And I really feel that over the years, because I used to always constantly plan and not be present to myself. And now I can it's very quickly to just wipe the slate clean and just be. And that's just through the ritual, like the beautiful ritual of even making a cup of tea to take out to the sun. It's the purpose that I'm putting behind it. It just doesn't start when I sit down in the sun. It starts on, how do I want to set myself up to be you know, to love and enjoy that moment. So thank you. Intention is so important.
Oh, it's beautiful. And that's a beautiful segue to what has been one of your biggest learnings for you as a person?
I'd have to say how to be a mother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I had to really reflect on that. And I'm going, it has reminded me through their eyes something I'd forgotten.
Yep.
And they only know love, right? They're not scared of all these other things that are portrayed around them. They don't know any different. And to see and have them express and experience something that they're just like compassion, kindness, gentleness, like all these beautiful virtues that they have at their fingertips, because that's innately who they are without fear, right? But they've reminded me who I want to be as a person. They really are my greatest teacher. They have taught me so much about healing myself, because I want to be a better person as a role model for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a whole story behind that. I know you know, Tosca, but it's been beautiful to be challenged and to challenge myself. And yeah, I just can't express how much that experience, and yeah, I just can't express just how much it has made an impact upon my life. And I never thought motherhood would do that. Like really, you go through the motions at times and you get so caught up in just doing, or like, okay, you're picking this and picking that. But again, it's like, yeah, but what does this little human need? And again, when I started understanding that I had my own needs that were separate to other people's, it's like, oh, of course, my kids have their own needs and we're going to clash a lot of times. But when it comes down to it, it still means that we just want to be loved. We just want to be seen. We just want to be heard. We just want to be held. And we just want to be, above all else, just accepted, right?
Yep.
So
Totally.
yeah, so that has been incredible, and I'm still learning. Oh, I won't stop learning, and I just use him as inspiration all the time. And it's, yeah, a lot of the time I have to ask myself, what is it that I'm needing to learn from this situation? What are they reflecting back to me that I'm unwilling to see for myself? And they're quite persistent. So it's like, yeah, and it's like, okay, right, let's go there and explore that a little bit more. Yeah.
Oh, they're very honest.
Oh, they're great. I love their honesty.
Oh, yeah. It's like, dunk.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my next question for you is, when was the last time you used your intuition?
Oh, literally, I've been using it through our
The whole thing.
The whole thing. I'm an intuitive guide, but yeah, I use it very strongly at many different points in time, and just sit back into it and sit with my innate wisdom that's in my heart. So yeah, I've used a lot today because I've had client sessions this morning. So intuition on a whole different level there. But yeah, I use it really readily. And when I can feel myself getting busy in my head, I sink back into my heart space. Yeah. Bring it back to my breath, bring it back to presence, and just go, okay, what do I need right now? Yeah.
That's
and just
awesome.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like with anything. I mean, we can get derailed or we can go off course and that, but it's like, but how do we know? What are our tools to get us back on course? Where do we need that reminder? And the more that we practice it, like any muscle in our body, right? The more that we practice it, the more access we've got to it, and the more we trust it. More than anything, we actually can trust the fact that, like, yeah, this is right and this is right for us. Yeah.
Totally. It's coming back to yourself and coming back to that trust. I love that word that you said, trusting your intuition, trusting yourself. Yeah.
And it's a bit tricky at times, but it's 100% doable. And when you experience it again, those times when when you're in flow, you're aligned, and this is your intuition speaking, and you actually get to listen to it, it's just such a special relationship to hold.
Wow.
Yeah, beautiful. So, gorgeous one, do you have a favorite goddess and why?
Interesting. I have Durga actually. Durga has been with me for a long period of time. I haven't gone and researched a lot about Durga. I just know she's there and she has she's the goddess of compassion, I think, isn't she? But she's also the mother to Kali Ma, and some other beautiful goddesses. But I have had a deep relationship with her sense and her energy for a few years now. She came to me unexpectedly. The name popped up within my awareness, and there was a few rituals, deep rituals that I went through that I felt I needed. And yeah, I just, whenever I feel like I need to be regrounded and I have a place to call home, I tap into the energy of that to welcome it back home.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are chills?
But out of all of them, and there's many to choose from, but she has popped into my awareness and she's always there. It's like the wise mother for me, and but in a very strong, powerful, almost vicious at times sense, but the vicious is for your own good, so it's that's what it feels like for me. Like, as I said, I haven't actually gone through and researched fully into who she is, because I love to trust the fact that I've got this beautiful energy, but this is the energy that it shows up for me, as much as it may be the interpretation of other people in different ways. But I'm like going, but this is what it means for me. So
that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What it's all about.
Yeah.
So, Karen, what are you celebrating at the moment? Is there anything special that you'd like to share with us that you're celebrating?
It might be really strange, but I'm celebrating. Well, we're women, we're goddesses, but I'm celebrating the fact that I love my monthly bleeds, because they are actually monthly. And yes, which they haven't always been, but I'm also celebrating is what it's actually meant to get to the journey of actually loving the fact that I have this gift, this reminder that comes into my life on a regular basis. It hasn't always been my relationship, and I've been like, maybe 3 times a year, and then I may have 6 periods in like a short period of time. But for me, that actually, as I'm unpacking it, why I'm going, well, why am I celebrating this? But I'm celebrating it also with myself, for alignment with myself from a point of rebirth, and that it's a shedding, right? So
Yeah.
And it's a welcoming. So that's what I'm celebrating. That's why it's come up for me. And I'm not even on my bleed at the moment, but when you ask that question, that's the first thing that popped into my mind. So I'm like going, I'm going to go there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and doing it without all the pain. And I've healed a lot of trauma around my sexual organs and this beautiful, incredible womb space. And yeah, I really welcome the joy it brings me now, to be able to have that connection with myself, and the beautiful representations that it holds for me. So
That's
I'm
put
celebrating
so
that.
beautifully.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
And honoring the cyclicness of our being. Do you know? We are cyclic beings.
Very much so. And I've noticed how I fall into the alignment of nature and the cycles of nature with it. And of course, when my energy is at its most beautifulest peak, and how can I express myself more? But again, knowing when I need rest. So I can see that, as much as I mentioned at the beginning, it's that bleed, but it's like, well, what does that represent for me? And how has it allowed me to grow as a person? And so I celebrate the growth that I've allowed myself to experience through actually really having that deeper connection to the cycle and the nuances of what it delivers me, and then of course what I can deliver to others. So
Yeah. That's perfect. I would have never looked at it that way.
I did not know that was going to come out of my mouth. That's just what happened.
But it was beautiful all the same.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for sharing your passion, your joy, your insight, the gifts that you bring to this beautiful world.
Oh, thank you, beauties.
Thank you.
And gorgeous one, may you be happy, may you be well, and you know you are always loved.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I will receive those beautiful gifts that you have bestowed upon me. So thank you. Beautiful
Thank
work.
you so much. And anybody's interested, as you should be, we will have all the links down below to find out more about Karen and how you can connect with her. So thank you again.
And thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Tosca. And thank you to anyone that's watching or listening.
Dear goddesses, if you love this Fierce Goddess Collective podcast, please remember to like, share, and subscribe.
And if you want some more information on our special guest today, all the links can be found down below. And remember, goddesses, stay fierce.